Welcome to the Parent Light with Jennifer Peaster and Wendy Sexton, both mentors at the Ascension School of Spirituality. And we are excited to be here with you guys to help lighten the load of parenting and however that's showing up for you in your life at whatever stage and whatever capacity that you are serving in. We would like to pull from our jar of ideas and see what kind of topics we can help to bring some light to. And we really welcome at any time for anybody to comment or send us an email or message us through the Ascension School if there's something particular for you that you would like um, to shed a little light or open a discussion about. Um, so we're going to pull from today. I have balancing the yin yang energies. So that's kind of an open field
Yeah, you go first.
of, of yin and yang. So if that just that phrase, maybe you're thinking, what does yin and yang mean? So it's really where there's a right and a left, there's an up and a down, there's a this and that and a that, but there's always two sides to everything. And within that, if you think of the old little yin yang, little round figure that has the white and black, um, there's a little spot of black in the white, a little spot of white in the black. So there's a lot of gray area. Um,
So that's the masculine and feminine too, right?
yeah,
Like energy, not male, female, but the
right.
more linear and more flowy and okay.
Yeah. So what comes to me at first is balancing, like, how do we structure our lives and make all the things happen, you know, morning, day, and night, whether that's school or maybe it's summer, um, evening routine, morning routine, um, literally getting kids fed and dressed. That to me all falls in that yang side, that masculine energy side of the doing of the things. And then the yin side I think of as more of the like, how do we have fun and how do we just show up and love each other, and um, how are we playful, and how are we living life outside the structures of whether it's school or work or sports or dance or the things, like how are we living amongst that, how are we balancing um, quality time and quantity time. Does that make sense
Yeah.
with you, Jennifer?
Yeah, to me, you know, what I think of when you were talking, I got this image of something my friend Lori told me years ago of like when you structure your day, you put in the big rocks in a jar first. Like these are the things that are super important and more, and then you put smaller rocks around that and they can fit, and then you can pour the sand in to fill in the rest. And it made me think about that, the structure and the things that you got to do. You
Yeah.
got to eat at some point, so where do you put that? But that there's room for flow around it with the sand that just can fill in.
Yeah.
um, I mean, that might not spark the fun necessarily, but just the structure part is what I thought at first, but continue on.
Yeah. So, and I think of, yeah, the things that like have to happen each day,
Mhm.
that, the parents might go off to work, kids might go off to school. Like you said, the meals traditionally happen 3 times a day, where we think on most days we have breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Maybe some days it's 2 meals, maybe some days it's lots of snacks. Um, but the balancing the yin and yang, I really think of, you know, if those are all our big rocks, how are we relating to each other amidst those? Are we just checking off lists and yep, got work done, got school done. Now it's off to the sports thing. And at the end of the day, are you exhausted? because you just went down the list? Or are you able to kind of relax and say, yeah, we sang songs in the car, or we told jokes in the car, or we just talked about each other's day. Um, so it's really about finding that, how do we reconnect? To me, I'm seeing like like almost like a chain link, and the big rocks being the big parts of the chain, and then threading together through the ways we connect with one another, around all those things that honestly most need to get done. Maybe some of them are optionals that we choose to put in, but really bringing in some heart and some life in the spaces that give it a flow, instead of it feeling like we went rock jumping all day. We're exhausted.
Yeah, I like that. The rock jumping. That, I mean, that could be fun, but it sounds stressful. Like, it makes me think that of how important it was to me to leave a lot of free time between things, and that allowed more flow. Like the days that I did have so much scheduled, it was very easy to forget to have fun
Yeah.
because you're just focused, you're scared to forget anything. You want to make sure you make it to the next thing. Um, so for me, it helped to have more space between, to try not to schedule as much. Um, that helped me. And then the other thing is, I'm going to go back to routines again, because if, because I think I use routine more lightly than some people, like, because it's not about doing things exactly the same, but getting in these habits that create the flow. So
Mhm.
when you were speaking, I thought about how my daughters used to sing while they did dishes. And that made, I mean, everybody enjoyed listening to them sing. And sometimes they'd blast the music, sometimes they'd sing without music. And that just made it fun for everybody. Even, it made you want to go help more with the dishes. Like we sometimes would all contribute. It kind of, that varied quite a bit, but the singing was my favorite part. If there was,
Yeah.
it just made it so fun. And people would tend to hang around longer and help more if there
Mhm.
was some singing going on or music being played. We use music a lot for things that involve cleaning. So
Absolutely. I find the same thing, that when cleaning feels much more like a chore, that's the last thing I want to do. If I can put on some music and just really just start to be a little more playful, and you know actually kind of act out with the kids and be goofy, then it changes it from a chore to an activity with the family, you know um where they're kind of looking at me like, where'd she come from? And it changes them, and then they're playful, and then they're more willing to help. So it's, I hear through your example of the music, and ours as well, it's lightening the mood. And I think that's, we can use that in anything in our days, is finding what lightens the mood for you. Is it songs? Is it telling jokes? Is it counting breaths and meditating? I think there's so many different ways, but it's remembering. And usually that's can be the hardest time, when you're feel stressed, or like you've crammed too many things in a day. Is usually when it's hardest for us to sit back and think, oh yeah, I could play music, or oh yeah, I could sit quietly and breathe for a minute. um, but that's a beautiful way of balancing the two, of getting done what needs to get done, but shifting the energy so that it doesn't feel so heavy, and then it feels manageable, you know?
yeah, I thought of, like, one way that helped me shift is skipping. Instead of walking, starting to skip to get somewhere. And something happened, and happens in my body that makes it just more fun. I mean, I'm still just getting from the car to, the sidewalk, or um, but that I know for me is something that kind of shifts. The other thought I had is that if you notice that it's not fun moving from rock to rock, that your children might have a good idea of something that would help. I found again and again that I would ask my kids like for how this would work better, or how this could be more fun, or can you tell a joke, we need to lighten the mood. Like they're actually great at it. Like I feel like as the adult, I'm the one who got too serious too fast. And
Yeah.
so I didn't always have to figure it out. Sometimes I could just ask them.
Mhm. Yeah, and I think that really ties in where you talked about the skipping, because that's something a kid would do. And so whether we can just ask the kids like you just said, or just imagine, being that little kid ourselves.
Mm.
And usually that's exactly what we need. And I really think, they say our kids are our greatest teachers. And I think they're telling us all the time, they're teaching us all the time. And sometimes we're so busy we don't recognize it, or it's maybe out of our character to be so like light and free like a kid is, or playful like a kid is. Um, but I imagine most of us were that way at one time, you know. Um, we all have different childhoods and different personalities, but um, I think they're always reminding us to come back to that playfulness and that carefreeness, that they seem to get into so easily. So I think that's perfect to look to them and let them guide the way. Yeah, great. Um, so that feels like a good place to wrap up. How do you feel?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, let your child help you when it's not as fun to flow through your day. That it's not flowing as easily,
Yeah.
or as fun.
Mhm.
So remember that you're a better parent than you think you are already. And this is Jennifer Peaster and Wendi Sexton saying, have a great day. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.